following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
Righteous on the beat.
Welcome to the Hartsville Hoops Radio Show podcast. This is episode 5, I think. It might be 6. I don't know.
I think it's 6.
You think it's 6?
I think it's 6.
I forgot.
You forgot? Well, whatever episode it is, this is season 1, episode 5 or 6, whichever one it is. We're here once again. We're here with Nathan Barr and AJ Cuffie.
It was good.
Coming off a long weekend. We had boot camp this weekend, and for all of those who don't know, this was the first time we've done it. It has been done here at Hartsville High School. It's where the kids come in at 7:30 p.m. on Friday night. They came in, checked in. We had a kickoff. Big shout out to Pastor John Griggs. What's his name?
Bootsy.
Big shout out to Boosie for coming through and opening us up with a devotional, talking about the power of what? The power of what? I can't hear y'all. The power of one.
Yeah.
All right, opened up with a devotional about the power of one. Each kid on the team got a little domino just to signify their strength and how powerful they are, and how that power can be put to use and put together with others who have that same power of one and can do something great. So it was an amazing kickoff, and then they had practice, and then they ended up with we had referee Michael Cook came through, one of the top rated referees in the state, came through and went over the rules and stuff like that. Let me ask y'all a question, because I don't know if y'all was paying attention, but what rule like stood out to you as one that you really pay attention to, AJ?
Oh, when he was like, he said a man could be like 6 feet away from you and he's still gonna like count, even if he's not guarding you. Like, I just like paying attention there, because normally like you'll think like they gotta guard you soon, they get close up on you and they'll start counting. But he said like 6 feet away.
All right, no, you right there. No, sorry y'all, Miss Gore has just made it. And we know she's on the run, so we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and get her interview done, and then we'll get her going. We want to welcome Ms. Gore to the show. So welcome to the Hartsville Hoops podcast.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you for being here. We know it's rough after school getting these kids out the door. So we're gonna make it as quickly as possible and as quick as possible, and then we're gonna get you out. Nathan and AJ here are gonna interview you and see if we can't let the students of Hartsville High School get to know you a little bit better.
All right.
Let me start out, bro. Did you play any sports in high school?
I didn't really. I ran track one year, ran hurdles, kind of hurt my ankle, and that kind of put an end to my career as a track, runner.
So what school did you go to at that moment?
I actually graduated from Hartsville High School.
Hey, a ref.
I attended all 4 years.
That's good.
What college did you go to?
I went to the College of Charleston. Go Cougars.
You went there over the summer, ain't it?
Yeah.
They have a phenomenal basketball team
Real good.
with a really good coach, Earl Grant.
He still coach?
That the one that be coming?
That's the one that comes to our practices all the time.
We made it to the dance last year.
Oh, what did you major in?
I majored in elementary education for my undergrad.
So that means you're a teacher, right?
I was a teacher, yes. I taught 8th grade pre-algebra for 19 years.
Before becoming a Red Fox, like where did you what school was you at?
I grew up in Hartsville, so I was born and raised here, and I went to North Hartsville for elementary school, Hartsville Junior High back in the day, and then Hartsville High School. So I am a product of Hartsville schools.
So, all right. So you say you majored in elementary education. What really made you go into that major? Like, yeah, what really made you go into that major?
Being in school, I had a learning disability, so I struggled, and I had some teachers back in the day that was probably long before learning disabilities were really diagnosed like they are now, and mine kind of went undiagnosed, and I felt like if I could figure out a way to help students who struggled in school, that's why I went into education. So then I got my master's degree, and then I did my educational specialist degree in administration.
Okay. How long did that take? Like years? Like you said, you got your master's degrees and you got your educational thing. How long did it take for you to complete?
For all of it, I finished my undergrad in 4 years, and then Charleston County had a reduction in force, so they weren't really hiring any new teachers. So I signed up to go to grad school, and 10 days after school started, I got my first job. So then I had to cut back to part-time grad student, and I was teaching full-time, going to graduate school part-time. So it took me a little bit longer to do that. So I didn't finish my master's. I graduated from College of Charleston in 93. I finished my master's in 1997, so just a couple of years later. But then years later, when I moved to Georgia, I wanted to get an administrative degree. So that's when I got my educational specialist degree, and I didn't finish that until 2008.
Okay. And then you said you was a math teacher, so what some things you told your students to like be motivated during the day as a teacher?
Just to always be present in class, always ask for help. If you were struggling, you weren't going to be the only one sitting in class struggling, and to always make sure that you communicated with the teacher.
Okay, that's good. We're going to get on to today. What is a day for you as an administrator?
I start my day out every morning dealing with substitutes. So any teacher that's absent, I sign in the substitutes and make sure that they understand where to go and what the teacher's schedule is like. So that's the first thing I do every morning. And then, just monitoring kids going to and from class, making sure they have IDs on, cell phones up, that kind of stuff, following the rules, and then just monitoring the school throughout the day, dealing with discipline as it arises.
Okay, so what are some things you do differently from here, well, as an administrator here, and where you were before?
Well, I'm coming from West Florence. Schools are very similar because they were both, open campuses. West Florence had about 1,900 students, so we have roughly 500-600 students less here. We don't have Dairy Queen and Miami Jr. across the street and Eggs Up Grill and McDonald's and everything else. So we don't have as many kids leaving campus as we did at West Florence. It's much more close-knit family feel here than it was there. So I'm pretty much the same. I'm very strict. I follow the rules. Most students, look at that as being mean and hardcore, and that's fine. I just make sure that everybody's following the rules, even the teachers, even the administrators. I follow the rules and lead by example.
So were kids there different from here, like attitude-wise, educational-wise, behavior-wise?
You have your really good kids everywhere you go. You have your respectful kids, and then you have your kids that, don't want to be respectful, act up in class. I will say that there are a lot less distractions here than there were at West. West is an excellent school, excellent teachers, but there are a lot less distractions here. A lot more kids willing to be respectful and follow the rules.
That's good. So some difficulties. What are some difficulties that come through your day? As I think I'm saying it right. That come through during the day. Problems, or as an administrator, yeah.
Sometimes there's not enough time in the day to deal with everything that we need to deal with. For example, dealing with grade verifications, trying to get those out at the last minute, teachers trying to leave. making sure that everything's in on time, meeting district guidelines and deadlines. So,
if you were not an assistant principal today, what would you be? Or where would you be, I guess?
I love being in the classroom teaching, so more than likely still there. I can't imagine not being in education, but I am looking for the day that I can retire.
Did you like to teach any other sports? I mean, not any other sports, any other classes besides math?
No, because I'm not an English person. I like social studies, so I could have taught a history class, but definitely math was my thing.
What do you like to do in your spare time?
I love to travel, spend time with my family, and play with my dogs.
How many dogs do you have?
I had 3, but one of mine died about a month ago, so I have 2 Basset Hounds, and they are an absolute trip.
So what are some tips and advice for us before we start our basketball season?
Y'all had a good season last year, so work as a team, communicate, listen to your coach, make sure that your academics are a top priority so that you aren't suspended from, that you can play and you're not penalized for not having your grades where they need to be. Biggest thing is treat each other with respect, work hard, play hard, and you guys will come out on top.
And I do have to say, for the people out there that play a sport, education is a main part of playing a sport, because you can't go to the next level to play that sport that you like to play without that education. You have to have good grades. So you need to stay on your grades, do good on tests, study, stay in school, and do the right things.
True.
Thank you, Ms. Gore. Thank you,
Ms. Gore.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, everyone. That was Ms. Gore. Thank her for joining us on today. We're going to get through to the show. We're going to get back. We have another interview for you later on in the show. What did y'all think about what Ms. Gore had to say? I know that she sometimes has a rap of being a hard-nosed person on campus, but what did y'all think about her as a person, AJ?
She kind of nice when you get to know her.
Yeah, are you sure? Because you look like you had to force yourself.
She is.
Yeah, she cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it's tough, and I think that what students don't get a grasp of all the time is it's hard when you have to deal with somebody, when you have to deal with a person who has to do a job.
Yeah.
You want to do what you want to do, but somebody's telling them, hey, this needs to be done, that needs to be done. And so they have to carry out their duties because it's their job. And I don't think that we can penalize them for doing their job. So, I'm happy she stopped through with us and took a second to talk to us today. So now, getting back to camp, matter of fact, what we're going to do is we're going to take a break here for a commercial.
Hi. This is Coach English, co-host of the Staley and English Show featuring Coach Kurt's podcast. Each week, myself, along with Coach Staley and Coach Kurtz, discuss an array of different topics from the high school coaches' perspectives. Topics such as the keys to success, how to make your high school team, the importance of women in lives, the importance of fathers. It's a show about different topics from a high school coach's perspective. So tune in to the Staley and English Show featuring Coach Kurt's podcast, powered by Defy Life, on all podcast platforms. If you're not defying life, what are you really doing with yours?
All right, welcome back. We're back. We also want to remind you that this episode is also brought to you by the Phyllis Griggs Jamboree, which will be held next week on November 15th in the Hartsville High School Arena. Everything's going to be kicked off at 6 p.m. with the girls game, West Florence girls versus Heathwood Hall girls. And then it'll be followed up by Brooklyn Casey's boys versus West Florence boys at 7:20. And then at 8, we will have the presentation to Coach Griggs. And then we would have, following that, we will have a Hartsville High School girls versus Cardinal Newman girls, and they'll be followed by the nightcap by Hartsville boys taking on Cardinal Newman boys. You have an opportunity to see our guys take on two of the top players in the state in Chico Carter and Josh Beadle. Should be a pretty good matchup. Now, back to our camp, fellas. What would be like one of the main things you learned over this weekend?
I think really being like inside, like or outside, what kind of person you really are. I guess we had a lot of speakers come in and talk to us about not only just basketball, just being the type of person you should be like in life, and what is that, a mentor?
Yeah.
I guess being real, like them being a mentor to us and teaching us things that when we grow up, what type of things we should be or be a good person.
What do you say, AJ?
What the question was?
Like, what is it that what stuck out to you the most from the weekend?
When Trae Daddy came to speak to us, he was telling us that we got like it's time to play and it's times when not to play, and he told us that we got to always be locked in. That joint just stuck out to me the most because I just was really listening, and like that joint kind of hit me that I got to be locked in more.
I mean, do we feel that our team lacks a little bit of that focus at times?
Yes.
Like we're not fully invested or fully locked into what we need to do.
Yes, it just like be certain people locked in most of the time. It don't like everybody got to be on the same page.
So what do we think is going to take for everybody really to get like focused and what do you think it's going to take from the leadership on this team to get everybody focused?
Somebody just really got to step up and just tell them that they got to lock in, or we're gonna start off on the bad page because we got a good school coming in on 27. Like they 5A, and they always been tough all they years.
Yeah,
so.
they've beaten us 6 straight times.
Yeah,
so
they've been tough. So everybody just got to lock in because I don't want to lose, to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel you on that. I don't want to lose either. You know, you make it sound like I want to lose.
No, I was just saying.
Now, we did have a chance to we had a chance to have the assistant superintendent, Mr. Larry Johnson, come in, and I thought he said some great stuff. But he did an interview with us. So we're gonna play the interview real quick and we'll be back. We have somebody back. Trae is back. Say what's up, Trae, to the fans.
What's up?
It's about time you back after surgery.
Yeah, man, I'm back.
Well, we're here. We got boot camp. Been here since last night about 7:30. We had Pastor Griggs come in. They call him Bootsy. Come in and from FCA and the PD area director of Faith Christian Athletes. Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Yeah, and great devotional last night and to kick us off, and he had a great devotional today. Kids had practice about 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah, all we heard was a whistle.
So they have, and we almost just getting started. So we're here with Trae and Shaquez, and we have a very special guest. We probably wouldn't be on the air bring you this beautiful podcast every week if it wasn't for him approving this podcast. And it is our district athletic director and assistant superintendent, Mr. Larry Johnson, and the guys are going to be interviewing him. So how you doing, Mr. Johnson?
Doing well. Appreciate you guys having me.
Okay, here we go.
Mr. Johnson, thank you for joining us today. How excited are you about joining us today on this show?
Well, very excited. Again, anytime I see young men working hard to become great, I'm always excited. When Coach said y'all were doing a boot camp, I called him yesterday and said, can I just come over and talk to the young men? This is something I enjoy. I love to see young men working hard, trying to accomplish a goal.
How is your personal life and your job? Can you tell us a little bit about the superintendent job?
Sure. I've been here since early September. I've enjoyed it tremendously. I've met a lot of good people who have helped me tremendously. Coming from North Carolina for 26 years and now in South Carolina, it's a major adjustment. But the thing that has made it easier is just having the ability to meet new people, meet new students, from Lamar, from Hartsville, from Darlington, all of our schools. I've been very pleased just to, develop new relationships. Coach English, I didn't know him prior to coming, so I got an opportunity to meet him and some other coaches. So it's been great. I'm glad to be here.
So you pretty much like to, work with people a lot.
Yes, that's what I do. I deal with discipline in the county, but I like developing relationships. I think the key to success of education is developing relationships with our students, with our parents, and with our community, and that's very important to me.
So, do you like the superintendent job, or would you rather coach?
I like coaching, but I can be a coach from the stands. I have two sons who both play one middle school and one high school, and I just sit in the stands and I just like to just watch now. I love to see kids that are very talented, who's working hard to become better, because there's a lot of opportunities for those that work hard, whether it's a free education, whether it's jobs. If you work hard at anything, you become anything that you want to become.
And about that, like you said, grades and athlete first, before sports. So everybody out there, I think if you come across Mr. Johnson, he'll be a good man to talk to. So if possible, will you ever become a basketball coach again?
I probably will not, because I do enjoy the job that I do. One thing I will always do, and I still do, I was in the gym this morning at 9:30. I train kids on the side. But I like to get kids that are not considered superstars. I like to get those kids that are what I call diamond in the roughs, things that I see when I watch them. How can we make them better? Yeah. I have a 6'1", 7th grader that I work with that, I started working with him in July. He couldn't dribble or shoot the ball. In 3 months' time, just to see the growth, that's why I work and do what I do every day. I like to see kids grow. I have a young man that I'm working with that's going to be very special. That's a 4th grader. I see very high things, and I imagine he will be a high major kid once he gets to that point.
So what are some of the standards about this superintendent job? Is it hard? Is it easy?
Well, it's definitely hard because you're dealing with, let's just say, 3 high schools, 3 different communities, from Lamar, Hartsville, and Darlington. You have to make decisions that people are not always happy with. But you have to do what's best for the student, the community, and as well as Darlington County schools. So we just try to do, make the right decisions and try to keep kids, on track to make sure they have a good education in order to do whatever they want to do in the future.
Okay. So what are some of the thoughts that you had in mind when, you decided this podcast show would be good for Hartsville basketball?
Well, it's just, getting the word out. I think the fact that you guys do this, just to get the message out on different topics to the community, I think is really great. Just to try to show that, you guys come together for a team boot camp, giving up your weekend, your parents, allowing you guys to be here. I think it's great. You just got to continue to work, take this boot camp and continue to build upon it and have a successful year. And hopefully we'll be cutting down the nets in Columbia at the end of the year.
I'm happy you're here for us today. So
thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for you coming and stuff like that. So he gave you the personal questions a little bit. So I'm gonna move to the basketball side.
Okay.
So what's the most important thing that you believe will make our team successful throughout the season?
Well, I think the first thing is character, because I think if you guys start with character, you can build upon that. I think your skill set will be second. If you guys work together as a team, don't put one person above the other. Just continue to work together as a team. I think the goal that you want to achieve of a state championship is easily accomplished. But I think you got to put away from individuals and say, we're a team. There's not an I in team. How do we continue to work when we're down? How do we fight back? So I see great things coming from Hartsville basketball this year.
Right. And what are some things that you think that we could fix based off of you watching us last year going into this year? Like, what are some things that we could adjust?
I think just remaining composed, even when you're down. Everybody gets down at some point in the game. Just fighting back, depending on each other. If your other partner can hit the shot, get him in the corner and get him that shot that he needs in order to knock it down. So I think staying together as a team, don't get down because somebody missed a shot that you thought you should have had. Encourage each other. With you guys being the team leaders, when somebody's down, pick them up. And I think that'll help you later as we move on to the end of the season.
Right. Can you? I'm gonna ask you this. What is something that we can avoid in order for us to reach our goals?
Outside distractions. That's the first. I know it's difficult because parents, uncles, aunts want to tell you, you should have shot this many times. You should have passed it this time. You got to put all those distractions aside. Listen to the coaches. Let him guide you to where he can take you. Because I know it's difficult. A lot of times I'm at games and I see parents yelling and kids looking up in the stands at their parents to get guidance as far as what to do. I say focus as a team, listen to Coach English, and just continue to move forward.
Right, and fans as well can be a distraction. Is that too?
Oh, exactly.
So, okay, so how has high school basketball changed throughout the years of you watching basketball?
It's changed from the standpoint of when I graduated, we probably had 4 guys on one team that could play Division I basketball. Now you see, maybe 1, maybe 2. I don't think kids play as hard or often as we did. We played basketball 7 days a week, sometimes twice a day. That's how we became great. Now, because of the social media era, video games, kids might play basketball twice a week if they're lucky. And I think that, we play 7 days a week, which helps us to be that much better. I think if we could put away that social media and those video games, kids would be even more developed than they are now.
All right. You had a good point, too. Video games and, social media is
And that's one way you guys can be successful. Stay off of social media during the season.
Shaquez know me. Hey, I'm off all social media as of right now. I mean, it's season. You got to lock in. So.
Exactly.
That boy died to get to that game.
Oh, yeah. Okay, what could be a key part in us winning a state championship?
And I think it starts with this week. Building that team concept. Again, there's no I in team. Right. Come to practice every day with your what we used to call lunch pail. When you're ready to go to work, you take it every day. You step on the court, even when practice. You're working hard. You're giving 110%, even in practice. You can laugh and play before you walk on the court, but when we walk on the court, the two of you guys being the leaders, you got to say, okay, guys, it's time to stop. It's time to get serious. It's time to focus. Our goal is Columbia in February, and that's what we got to work towards.
And about that, I got something to say about that. Like you were saying, staying serious, and this is actually, out of the years that I've been around, this is like the best team chemistry that we ever had.
Yes.
Like the team haven't been broken apart. We don't have arguments. We stick together. It's like a brotherhood all of a sudden now.
Good. And that's how it should be. And and I say be serious when you step on the court. But the thing I'll say, have fun. Yeah. Have fun when somebody hit a shot. Go and give them 5, jump up. Make this serious, but have fun in this process. It's what do you get out of it if Trae dunks and you don't have fun with it? You don't celebrate. I mean, come on, just have fun, and at the end, you'll be standing cutting down the nets.
Yes, and that was all of my questions. But once again, we appreciate you for coming today, sharing some words with us, and just being here and showing your support.
Yeah.
So we thank you again for coming.
Anytime.
Yeah, we appreciate you a lot. But before we leave and wrap it up, I got a ultimate question for you.
Okay. No problem.
If there was a chance to win $100 million, if there was a chance to win $100 million, I can't remember how the question went exactly, but we have this fantasy team.
Okay.
And on the fantasy team, we have Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Shaq. And if there was a 5 that you could pick to compete with those 5, it could like a 5 that could win the $5 million for you. What 5 could you pick to go against that 5?
Against Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Magic,
Kareem,
and Shaq. Well, my center would be Bill Russell.
Bill Russell
would be my center. Now you pick my point guard because I'm a Magic Johnson fan. So my point guard probably would be.
Who was the point guard there?
Magic Johnson is the point guard on this list. So I said Bill Russell will be the one. Probably Karl Malone would be my power forward. I would probably have to say in his younger days, Penny Hardaway would be on it as well.
And we ain't have that name yet. That's the first.
Penny Hardaway. Who would be my shooter?
I would say Tracy McGrady. In his
you
prime.
said Tracy McGrady?
In his prime.
That's not a bad choice.
It's not.
But he was a streaky shooter. He wasn't consistent.
Right.
See,
he had his days, though.
I like the underdog, so, I'm going to go with Reggie Miller. I am a shooter, so,
Now, it's hard to argue against Reggie Miller, but I'm going to go new school. I'm going to say Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson?
I'm going to say Klay Thompson. I think he's the best shooter out there.
You couldn't go James Harden?
Not
enough
my
defense.
Shooter. Not enough defense.
Not
That's
enough
exactly
defense.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But I would say Klay. So I say Bill Russell, Klay Thompson, Karl Malone. I need an athlete.
But then again, you said you said Klay Thompson, right?
Klay Thompson, my shooter.
Right now, in the new era, right now, Devin Booker wouldn't be a bad choice.
Not a bad choice, but Klay Thompson is bigger.
Yeah.
He's bigger, and you got to match up against
I
Kobe.
agree.
Yeah.
And Magic. You're talking about 6'8", 6'9". Kareem 7-footer, Shaq a 7-footer, Michael Jordan 6'6", 6'7".
Well, I mean, if you need some help for that guard spot, I got a guard in mind.
Who's a guard?
Allen Iverson.
Too small. He's a dog, but
he worked though.
Yeah. That's not a bad choice. I'm gonna throw one back that you guys will not know. A guy named Tiny Archibald played for the Boston Celtics. You wouldn't know him.
Nah, never heard.
He's an old school, but that's who would probably be my point guard. Is Tiny Archibald. So I'm gonna say Bill Russell, Klay Thompson, Tiny Archibald, Karl Malone, and I'm missing one. I'll throw Scottie Pippen in there just for now.
Scottie Pippen? Yeah.
Scottie?
Okay.
Okay.
So that would be my team. So
think-
that's a tough team to match up against. But I am glad to see that you guys have Kareem on there because I think Kareem is the best center that don't get all the credentials. And one that I think you miss on, I think you put Shaq ahead of Bill Russell. I think that's the mistake.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shaq just so huge. Though,
Right.
man.
Yeah, nobody can know Shaq. So
He's
Bill
so
Russell
big.
was, it's hard to argue against, 8 to 10 championships? It's hard to argue against that. He's a winner. And I always want to win on my team.
that's what's up. We like to win too. We like to win.
Yeah.
Everybody want to win.
I got another question for you though.
Okay.
With NBA nowadays, what's different? It's not enough defense because you see people out here getting 50 balls.
Right.
Easy. So what's changed? Like
I think it's more isolation, more than one-on-one.
pick and roll,
Right.
Pick and roll.
I think back then you had, right now the athlete is what's dominating. And back in the older days, you had athletes, but you had basketball players. When you think of a player that I used to love, was a guy named Bobby Jones, played for the 76ers. He was just a good basketball player. He didn't do anything great, but he did a lot of things well. So I think that's the difference. It's just give Russell Westbrook the ball and let him go, or give Harden the ball and let him go. The team concept is not necessarily there. And then you see so many big men now. You see Embiid and all these other guys shooting threes. So the game is moving out.
I actually think like the young that's coming into the league, like that's coming up, I think they have more skill than like back then. And
You think there's more skill than the guys?
Yeah, I think they have more skill.
I think the dribbling, you guys now do things with the ball that, people wouldn't imagine. So I would agree with that. Back in the day, you just had guys that if they're going to the hole, they were going to the hole.
And they were more physical back then. So.
And the thing about it, if a guard came inside, if you look up the name Maurice Lucas, he played for the Phoenix Suns. If Allen Iverson came inside for a layup, he would be getting off the floor because Maurice Lucas would hit him. They punished you back in the day when you were going up for layup. So guards didn't come in there that often, or you better be ready to be nailed. So
Maurice Ford,
Maurice Lucas.
Maurice Lucas. Okay.
Yeah, ask your dad about Maurice Lucas. He's like the Charles Barkley, the enforcer. He was just mean for no reason. But very good player, but he knew his job, and it was to stay in the paint. And if you come in there, he was going to let you know not to come back.
Yeah. It's tough. We appreciate you coming. We hope you support us the whole season.
Surely will.
We thank you a lot, though, for coming and giving us the advice that you gave us. And hopefully we can take it in the long run and use it down the road. So appreciate you a lot.
What Trae said.
Thank you, and really I appreciate you guys. Have a great year. Coach English is going to do a good job. But, again, put those distractions aside, listen to him, and let him guide you to the state championship.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for dropping those jewels of knowledge on us. And hopefully we can put them to use as a team. And so, Nate, what about anything he said really stood out to you?
Well, as a player, what
Nate,
he said.
Nate, if you don't talk into the mic, I swear to God.
All right. So he said, as a basketball player, he said, build character and work together as a team. Even when we're down, like if we're losing, we need to stay composed so we won't lose our whatever it is, and then we go down. And then as an administrator, he said what he likes about his job is to develop relationships with students. And I think that's a big part of his job, and it's good that he gave us that advice about staying composed.
All right, Shaquez, you actually gave the interview, and what was it? What was it about him that? Because you seemed really engaged when he was speaking to the team, and you also seemed engaged when you were interviewing him. Like, what was it about him that really stood out to you?
Everything that came out of his mouth, it was a positive word or either a positive conversation. Like, just everything in general. Like, he didn't talk about like the negative things that went down along his history, but everything else that he was saying about like helping people and like working with the underdogs to get people that need some work, just all the positive things that he was saying stood out the most.
AJ, what did he well, first off, AJ, why didn't you get out there when they was like, yo, who's the best shooter on the team to win those Zaxby's cards? That's what I want to know.
See, if it was mid-range, then I would have been out there, but I had to get a quiz that. I want that Zaxby's. I had to get a quiz that.
Well, for those who don't know, Mr. Johnson challenged the best shooter on the team, who happens to be Shaquez, the best out of 5 shots, and he said that he would buy the team each member there, $10 Zaxby's gift card. Now, needless to say, Jordan and Eldred III lost their ticket, lost their cards to somebody. But AJ, like, what was it that you took? What did you take out of what he said, whether in the interview or in his speech to y'all, to the team during the boot camp?
Like when he meet you, he wanna talk to everybody. Like he always in a good mood, and he just keep it real with everything. And he was talking about how he love to help people, and what else he was saying? Dang,
he said something, didn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, see, it was in my head, but now that joint just left. But he was talking about how he like to help people, and yeah, staying focused and building team chemistry with your own teammates and stuff like that.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up here and wrap the show up here. And each one of you, if you had to, and we're talking strictly about the boot camp, all the things that you came across, all the experiences you had this weekend, good or bad. And we'll start with Nate, and we'll go to AJ, and then we'll go to Shaquez. If you could put one phrase or one word or whatever that would be the theme of this boot camp, what would that be? Nate.
I'm gonna go with communication.
Why you say communication? Where do you get that theme from?
Well, as a team, we need to have a lot of communication within offense and defense. And if we stay communicated with each other, we will know each other better, and we can play with each other better, have a better chemistry together. And basically, that's it, communication.
All right, AJ, what would be, if you come up with a phrase or one word that would be the theme of, from your experience at boot camp, would be the theme for boot camp? If we could put it on a T-shirt, what would it be?
Focused. That was my word. Focused. Maybe not focused, but locked in.
Okay. All right, locked in. Locked in do seem like it'd be cool on a T-shirt, right? Put that on the research T-shirt and say just locked in.
Yeah.
That you might have came up with something there. Go ahead, Quez. What's yours? What was your theme of the weekend?
My theme of the weekend would be standing out, like being different from others. We talked about standing out from other people, like, you know, football players, you know, where you could tell a basketball player from different other people. So yeah, that would be my theme. Okay.
And to add to that, you know, Pastor Griggs, or my man Bootsy, he said something, man. He said, you know, you got to watch those people that are around you, because everybody does not want to see you succeed. You know, like, so have y'all, I mean, we know you experience what's called haters or whatever, but we all here know that you gotta you gotta keep out the outside distractions, as you know, Mr. Johnson has said, as you know, Mr. Leonard has said on our show before. You know, you gotta keep those outside distractions out. So, you know, I'm very proud of you guys for making it through the 4 o'clock whistle, the 4 practices a day, the running, the jumping, the punishing, everything. And that's it, man. Shout outs, Nate.
Well, shout out to the camp this weekend for Coach E and Coach Eric and all the coaches making this boot camp for us. And shout out to the players, shout out to the administrators, and then shout out to the football team this week as they go against Crestwood.
Shout out to my North boys and some of the boys on the football team for getting that dub against Murder Beach. Y'all boys ring chasing.
I want to say shout out to the basketball team on that hard work we put in this past weekend. And shout out to my boys on the football team, class of 2019. Shout out to those seniors out there.
First off, I want to give a shout out once again all the time to the district, Darlington County School District. And I want to give a shout out to Mr. Lewis, always for the support, and all the teachers here that support us. I want to give a shout out to Ms. Gore for being on the show today. Also want to give a shout out to Mr. Johnson for coming through and blessing us with his words via interview. Want to give a shout out to Mr. Wilson for hitting us up at boot camp. Referee Mr. Cook, Mr. Mike Cook, came through, dropped some knowledge on the boys about the different new rules and everything, like we said earlier. Shout out to my man Bootsy, who's going to become a big part of our program now. Definitely came and gave us a different perspective on life and about the power of one. And shoot, I walked around with my domino all day in my pocket today. I don't know about anybody else, but I definitely had mine all day today. I believe in little symbols like that, things that can turn your season into something else. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here. We got practice coming up, so need to get out of here and go ahead and get dressed. But, you know, to all our fans out there and all our soon-to-be fans, we get it popping at home on November 15th against Cardinal Newman. Come on out, man. $6. The canteen's going to have wings and fries. So come on out and have a good time. And definitely have a good time. But for now, as always, we are
Red Foxes.
Oh, y'all suck. One more time. We are
Red Foxes.
Shh. You hear that? Listen closer. That, my friend, is the deafening sound of focus. It drowns out all the useless noise that can clutter the moment. Naysayers don't exist. Haters? Smaters? The peanut gallery? Who's that? When you in your zone, all that noise and all that buzz is just elevator music. So, enjoy your journey, focus on your goal, and bask in the quiet roar that is progress. Because when it's your time to shoot that shot, spit that verse, or close that deal, the only voice that matters is yours. Defy life.